we're moving on to question number 3.
I'm a beginner. I'm not sure where to start.
No worries at all. We all start somewhere and I'm here to help you navigate your new gardening journey. Here are some basic steps to get you started. Number 1. Understand your space. The first step is to understand the space where you'll be gardening. How much sunlight does it get? Is the soil sandy, clay or loamy? These factors will influence what plants will thrive in your garden. Number 2. Start small. As a beginner, it's a good idea to start with a small garden or even a few potted plants. This will allow you to learn the basics without feeling overwhelmed. Number 3. Choose the right plants. Based on your space and the amount of sunlight it gets, you can choose plants that will thrive in those conditions. For beginners, it's often best to start with hardy plants that require less maintenance. Some good options might be hostas, daylilies, or coneflowers. Number 4. Learn basic care. Once you have your plants, you'll need to learn how to care for them. This includes watering, fertilizing, and pruning. Each plant will have different needs, so it's important to do a little research. Number 5. Patience is key. Gardening is a process and plants take time to grow. Don't be discouraged if your garden doesn't look perfect right away. With time and care, it will flourish. Remember, gardening should be a fun and relaxing activity. Don't stress too much about getting everything perfect. Learn as you go and enjoy the process. Plant joy.
I like that it ends with plant joy. Look at that.
Um,
So,
and I love that. I think it gets to the philosophy of when
yeah.
people ask, like, I don't know where to start. And I think any topic that you're really trying to, learn about, it's important to understand the philosophical sort of values that you want to arrive to. Because, it's not just about growing things, it's about growing yourself. It's about
Mhm.
what you are going to achieve in terms of personal growth as much as the garden. So, how do y'all feel?
I think one thing also is that like some people get easily overwhelmed when they're new and they only get the information off the internet. And I'm like, there is still really, really great value in getting yourself a good garden book, like a
Mhm.
hard copy. It's Christmas. Like, you want to start gardening next year? It's the dead of winter. You can't do much anyway. Like, go get a good, beginner's garden book. There is tons of them.
I'm plugging
Um,
I
one
mean,
right now.
there you
This is
go.
Sustainable Gardening for the Southeast. Susan Varlamoff was a UGA professor for decades. I mean, it's chock full of photos and resources. We still go back to the books. So,
mhm.
Yeah.
love it, Catherine.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
I
gonna
think
say.
the internet is way too
Yeah.
like a lot of misinformation. Talk about fake news on the internet when it
Right.
comes to gardening. Like people who write books, they know what they're talking about for the most
Mhm.
part. So anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
just
when I
wanted
was a
to.
kid, what was one of my favorite little gifts I got was a Kiss gardening book, which is Keep It Simple, Stupid. And that thing is worn out. I learned a lot as a little kid from reading that book, how to do propagation or, take fertilizer, everything like that. They're so good. I mean, you just want a basic gardening book. You don't need a crazy, hydrangea book or vegetable gardening book is kind of important. Actually got a really cool one off Amazon. It's a book and like a planner at the same time. So like every single month it tells you like what I can plant here in North Florida.
Oh,
And
that's
then it has a spot where you can take notes like, oh, this did well, this didn't do well. I'm going to do that next year. It's one of the coolest books I've ever had. I love it. So,
when it's about vegetable gardening, one of my favorite books is from Brie Arthur, The Foodscape Revolution. Why I like it so much is she's actually a gardener in the Southeast. So
okay.
so many other books, we go back to like Michelle's comment earlier of like the English cottage garden. There is a lot of books also where they are fantastic books. They don't work in the South. So that's when it comes to vegetable garden, Brie Arthur is a top-notch writer. Sorry, Michelle, I cut you off with my
No,
excitement.
no, that's perfect.
Michelle, you've sort of broadcast your journey through this, through your gardening experience.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, what sort of advice, if Plant Nerd AI missed one, what would you
Yeah.
say something to keep in mind?
Well, I think just the whole like people, the misconception for gardening for some reason is that some people are automatically good at it. Just like with painting or any other hobby that you try, right? Like nobody paints their first picture perfectly, right? Like you make scribbles and then eventually you learn from those scribbles. And it's the same with gardening. It's just the act of, maybe Googling or looking in a book of like, hey, why did that die? Or what could have happened? But you get to share plants with your neighbors and things like that, or create cut flowers.